Hi, Holy Lasky. How are you? This is Melinda Roy. Welcome to WIN Ideas Virtual Summit 2023.
Thank you so much.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm glad we were able to sort out all the technology.
Okay. So before you start the presentation, I would like to give a brief introduction of yours. After that, you can occupy the stage.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yes, welcome Holly Lasky on the stage. Holly Lasky is an internationally certified master coach, master hypnotherapist, and the founder of Align Optimum Vitality Coaching. With 30 years of experience in education and professional development, Holly regaining health and mobility and losing over 100 pounds. Now she empowers leaders, teams, entrepreneurs, coaches, and creatives to remove obstacles and align with their values and goals. Her approach focuses on achieving repeatable, optimal results without relying on excessive motivation or therapy. Holy offers comprehensive programs including trauma informed coaching to foster empowered and courageous individuals in all aspects of life. With 2 degree certification from the Batman Business Institute and Ever Coach or Mind Valley certification as a hollow body coach. Holy excels as a master certified NLP coach, master timeline therapy practitioner, master hypnotherapist, and professional certified coach recognized by the International Coaching Federation. That was beautiful introduction of Holy Lasky. You can occupy the stage. The stage is yours, Holy.
Thank you so much. I'd just like to welcome everybody to this session, this amazing international conference on the network of empowering women and sustainable development, put on by our incredibly gracious host, the IDIAS Global Conferences Organization. And I'm just so incredibly honored to be here with you today. So as you're watching the screen, hearing my voice, allowing yourself to hear, to take in information in a new way. Maybe some of the things you're going to hear are going to be familiar, some of them may be new, and just being able to take in everything that you need and make sure your pen is in your hand so that as you're writing, everything that you need will easily and effortlessly flow onto the page. And you'll be able to get everything you need today, the things that are most important to you. And as in the introduction, my name is Holly Lasky, and I'm a master certified coach. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a CEO. I'm also a professional musician, and it's kind of funny because usually people seem much more interested in hearing about the musical side of my life rather than the coaching side of my life. So the question I always get asked is, "What do you play?" And my main instrument is piano. I originally trained to be a concert pianist. And then I took up percussion and singing, conducting, discovered I could write music. So I've had an incredible career as a musician, from very classical settings to the studio to live theater, playing in a rock and roll band, doing vocal backups on stage. But quite honestly, whether it's music or in this kind of context, speaking to all of you today, being on stage is one of my favorite places to be. So I am incredibly happy to be here today. So why are we here? We are here to talk about and discover the power of the unconscious mind. So I'm going to share with you just some of my journey in this. And I know this is an aspect of life that most people take for granted. I know I certainly did. I want to share a little bit of my journey. I want to also give you 4 practical tools just to help you leverage and understand your unconscious mind better. I want to ask you some big questions. And at the end, of course, I have a special invitation for everybody who is attending. So I remember my life was just kind of going along like normal. I was married, I was working, I was doing things that were important to me, and just kind of going along, very happy in my life. And and my life turned upside down. So I remember that moment when my life turned upside down, and I realized that all the the routines that I was in before, I was kind of just living my life on automatic. And even when my life turned upside down, I was still in automatic. I was stuck in automatic. So my dad was diagnosed and was terminally ill. At the same time, my husband was catastrophically ill. And all of a sudden, my life revolved around going to two different hospitals every day. And I was stuck in automatic. I'd go to work, I'd go to the hospital, I'd go home, I'd go to sleep, I'd get up, I'd go to the hospital, I'd go to work, I'd go to the hospital, I'd go home. Over and over, I'd be doing the same thing every day. And the next day I'd get up and do it all again. And this went on for weeks. And I was stuck in automatic. I mean, time was standing still for me in that moment, in that crisis. And even as time was standing still, I knew it was time to wake up. My life felt like a really bad dream. And I knew it was time to wake up. My life had come to this screeching halt. And somehow I knew it was time to wake up. And the truth is, we are all living in our routines and our automatics, and we don't even know it. We're just trying to do the best we can with where we are and what we know at any given moment. And the problem is, our information is always incomplete. So, the first step to better understand how we operate in these routines and strategies is to understand how our mind works. So, 3 to 5% of your mind is conscious, and approximately 95% is unconscious. So, guess who's in charge? Yes. Your unconscious mind. Your conscious mind will set the goal. Your conscious mind sets the goal and it says, I want to do this. And if your unconscious mind is not in agreement, well, that kind of happens. Nothing happens. Or you work really hard and you don't get the results you want. So another way to help us understand how our mind works, how our brain functions, is to understand a little more about how the unconscious mind processes information. So our unconscious mind every second is getting about 11 million bits of information. Now, of course, we can't take in all of that at once. Our unconscious mind's first job is preserve the body. And then after that, it's all about organizing information. So imagine a bit of information is a toothpick. A toothpick is very small, but imagine that every second, 11 million toothpicks are being dumped on you. In just a few seconds, you're going to be buried in toothpicks. So what happens? Your unconscious mind can grab about a handful, about 134. Now your unconscious mind takes that handful and now puts that information that's come in through your senses and through your self-talk, puts it through all the filters in your life. So your filters can be your family, your background, your socioeconomic status, geographically where you live, your values, your religious beliefs, your education, all of these things. So our unconscious mind takes the 134 bits, puts it through all of those filters, and on the other side of that, creates our picture of the world. Literally, our projection, our picture, our movie around us of what our life is like and what our experience is. So a lot of times people say, well, what do you do as a coach? Well, I help people clean their filters. Because when you clean your filters, you can create a new picture of the world. From all of that information coming in comes our thoughts, our emotions, our actions. When we clean those filters, we can create a new picture. So, how many of you would like a practical tool to leverage what your unconscious mind does best? How many want a practical tool? I know some of these tools are just so amazing because they're easy. Now, here's the first tool. Your unconscious mind does not understand the negative. So if you say, I don't want something, whatever that is, it could be anything. It could be about your health, it could be about your business, it could be about your family, and I don't want this. Your unconscious mind hears that you do want it. So they did a study where a sign was posted that said, don't slip. The one with the stick figure of the person falling. And guess what immediately started happening? That's right. Everyone started slipping and falling. So they had to change the sign to walk carefully. And then everything was fine. So say it the way you want it. And if you find yourself falling back into that negative of, well, I don't want this, then just ask yourself, what do I want instead? So let me ask a big question. Here's the big question. Where in your life are you doing the same thing over and over and not getting the results you want? And what do you want instead? So now let's go forward about 3.5 years after my life turned upside down. After 13 years of marriage, my husband almost died. He was recovering. I finally became pregnant. And after feeling so stuck in my life, I felt surprisingly hopeful. And when I first realized I was pregnant, I remember the moment it became real. I saw the first ultrasound. And as the pregnancy continued, I was hopeful. This was a new future. I had morning sickness for all my 9 months. I still felt hopeful that even though this wasn't the life I had imagined and exactly the way I thought it would be, I knew that life continues. Even with my dad being gone, life continues. Even with my husband's health challenges, which actually continue to this day, life continues. I was moving into a new phase of my life, and yet all my old automatics were still there. After all the loss and grief, I decided, not consciously, of course, that I would be okay. I would move forward in my life. I wouldn't really be happy again. I was also continuing in all the knee-jerk responses that had come from childhood trauma, and I had body dysmorphia. I was dealing with compulsion around food, and I was medicating. I was medicating my life. Even as I was in this new stage of my life, I was still using the old habits and the old patterns. So even when you're going through something challenging, there are some really amazing ways that you can shift yourself into a more positive state. So I'd love to give you the second tool. Now, the second tool is, and this is kind of wild the way this works. When we are in stress, we literally have tunnel vision. Literally, our vision field kind of comes down to about that. So we're in tunnel vision and everything is constricted, literally constricted around us. So there's two parts to this. The first one is literally look around. Look up, look down, look out to the horizon, focus in close, look out to the horizon, look around, expand your vision. Now, here's the second part. Ask yourself, what might I be grateful for in the situation? Not what am I grateful for? Because you may not feel grateful at all in that situation that you're in, and that's absolutely okay. So you ask yourself, what might I be grateful for in this situation? This is literally opens us up to a new possibility, a new perspective, and helps us shift in that moment. So here's the next big question I want to ask you. Where in your life have you made those unconscious decisions that protect you in the moment, but really keep you from what you really want most in your life? And I know we've all been there. You know, I started doing what most of us do. I started working really, really hard. And I became motivated in kind of an unexpected way. I had been taking care of everyone else at my own expense, and my health suffered because of it. At my heaviest, I was over 300 pounds. I was in chronic pain. I was severely depressed. I was kind of muscling through my life, just doing the best I could. At first, I even had to borrow belief from someone else to be motivated. The idea that I could actually heal eventually became real when I was motivated enough because I didn't want to die. You know, we talk about how the unconscious mind processes. Eventually, it became not because I don't want to die, but it became because I want to live. I had hit what I thought was a brick wall in my life to find out it was just a bend in the road. All of a sudden, I could consider the possibility that healing was in my future. I could consider the possibility that I didn't just have to cope and muscle through my life. I could consider the possibility that I could actually heal physically and emotionally. Now, this is partly what inspired me to become a coach. So, my first experience sitting in the client seat, my coach helped me get to the core causes of my health, create true lasting resolution, and I began to heal from the inside out. My health issues really had nothing to do with food compulsion. It had to do with childhood trauma and that I was molested as a kid. Now, I was able to get down to the core causes of all of that and actually release it and resolve it. Instead of giving up and living in denial, I came to a place of surrender, of acceptance, and taking 100% responsibility. Now, in coaching, it's going very, very deep to those core unconscious causes and creating that resolution. Everything is connected: our health, our relationships, our careers, how we deal with stress, negative or positive, money, sex, creativity, our communication, our self expression. The way we do one thing is the way we do everything. Now, here's the next tool. How many of you would like instant motivation? Instant motivation? Yes. This one is kind of an amazing one. So ask yourself, what is the last thing you say to yourself before you get out of bed in the morning? What's that last thing before your feet hit the ground? Is it, I have to get up? I've got to get up. It's time to get up. Whatever it is, whatever that last thing is that you say to yourself is the way that you motivate yourself unconsciously. Now, mine is it's time. So, in the moment that you need motivation the most, say to yourself, whatever that thing is. If you're working on a project and you kind of feel stuck, then say to yourself, for me, it's time. And I'm able to give myself that extra little push to get in motion and create that momentum and that motivation. So, here are the big questions. Where in your life are you not motivated? Where are you in denial? Where are you giving up? And what would happen? What would happen if you stopped working so hard? What would happen if you surrendered, if you accepted? What would happen if you took 100% responsibility? So now healing is a journey, absolutely. And as I began to improve, I felt more empowered. And I began to realize that every decision makes a difference. All of those little steps, all the steps we do, all the small decisions that we make every day add up. And I was empowered as I began to look at what was motivating me. I wanted to live now. I was empowered as I began to live each day, knowing I could change and I could heal from the inside out. Physical health is what's on the surface, and healing actually starts with what you think, what you feel, and what you do. Remember, this is the beginning of how we take in our information. In coaching, I can take it as deep as possible and release what's holding someone back or blocking them, consciously or unconsciously, it doesn't matter. So I choose my health, I choose my future, I choose every moment, I choose every decision. Now, let's be honest, sometimes choosing feels really overwhelming, right? We want to choose, but we just get overwhelmed by it. Now, making decisions takes energy. It literally takes glucose in our body. So it makes perfect sense. We get to the end of the day and our decision making power is pretty much done. And especially when we get to the end of the day, it's even more overwhelming to make the choices that are healthy for us or really towards what we want. So, how many of you would like a tool to help you get out of overwhelm? So, the tool for getting out of overwhelm is sounds simple. It's about gaining perspective. But we gain perspective in different ways. So, some people need that 300,000-foot view of why they're doing what they're doing. They need that big picture. They need to remind themselves why they're doing the things they do, what's really important to them. And when they look at the big picture again, it's like the compass pointing back to their polar star, their North Star. Now, for everybody else, they need the plan, they need the steps, they need the kind of all those details. And when they look at all the details, they see clearly the path laid out in front of them. So you have to decide which way it is for you. And and then once you've brought yourself back to whatever that North Star is for you, the next question is the same for everyone. Now that you've reminded yourself of the big picture, or now that you've reminded yourself of the plan and the goal and the steps in front of you, now, what is my next best inspired action step? So here's the big question. Where in your life have you given up your personal power and choice for whatever reason? Maybe it's overwhelm. Maybe it's just the automatics. Now remember, it's that 95% that's driving everything. So in every aspect of my life, in every aspect, whether it's health or business or anything else, I was stuck in automatic and I realized it was time to wake up. And then I became hopeful and realized that life continued. And then I began to be motivated. Now, first borrowed and then realizing I wanted to live, and I was able to consider the possibilities. And then I was empowered because ultimately I choose. Now, this is not just my story, this is all of our stories. In coaching, I walk with others in their story of healing, creating that safe space for people to release their most vulnerable judgments about themselves. So I choose my life and my vision and my mission to change others' lives. I consider the possibility because I personally do the work. I sit in the client seat as well, and it deepens what I bring to my life and my clients. And I'm still on that journey of healing and transformation. And even when I come up against these brick walls to find that the path has just changed direction, I know that life continues. And in honoring and having gratitude for this incredible journey, this amazing journey I've been on, my life looks totally different than it did than just a few years ago. So I challenge all of you today, all of you today, It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. So, where in your life is it time to wake up? Now, today we took a closer look at just a small look at discovering the power of the unconscious mind, and I was able to share with you just a little bit of my personal journey. I gave you 4 practical tools, some of my favorite neuro hacks that you can try right away and leverage your unconscious mind. And of course, I have a special invitation for everybody who's on this conference uh, with me, or if you're listening to the replays. Now, this this special invitation, you can use the QR code, or you can go to the link, my link tree right there, and it's a gift for all of you. It's an invitation to a live, semi-private coaching session where, in a very safe space, we'll find the core cause of whatever that automatic is for you that just doesn't work for you anymore, that's not serving you in your life. And we'll resolve it, we'll release it, so you can take the next steps on this journey. So go ahead, you can take a screenshot or a picture. The link is also in my bio as well. And you can sign up right now. It would be my pleasure and my honor to continue to be on this journey, not just speaking with you today, but in that coaching session. I would love to be on this journey with you. So I want to thank you again just for this incredible privilege to share with you today. I just thank you so much for your attention and thank you for listening. And if we have a few moments, I'd love to answer any questions anybody has.
Thank you so much, Holly, for the electrifying session today. Thank you so much for sharing insightful information with us. So we do have a question from our audience. So here is the question. So can techniques like hypnosis and meditation influence the unconscious mind?
Yes, and that's exactly it. There are tools that are specifically addressing the unconscious mind. And that's exactly meditation, hypnosis. I'm a master certified hypnotherapist. So all of those tools are amazing and they work. You also need the balance of the tools for the conscious mind. So if you do all the unconscious tools, you can, yes, you can get results, but your conscious mind has to be in agreement too. So, and the opposite is true. If you do all of the conscious reframes and the conscious coaching that so many people do, but you don't address the unconscious mind, again, you're not in agreement and you're not going to get the long-term results you want. So, yes, they're both aspects are crucial.
Thank you. Thank you so much for letting us know the both aspects. Thank you so much. So thank you so much for joining this event, the WIN Ideas Virtual Summit 2023. So looking forward to hear more sessions from you for our future events as well. And have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you so much.
So let's join our another speaker, Bob Smith. Could you please join the next session?